Okay everyone, we are going to have a clear look at this multiplication of matrices. Okay, now I've decided instead of using m1 times n1 for the first matrix and m2 times n2 for the second matrix, I'll go with what you guys like, which is R, so the number of rows of the first matrix, multiplied by the number of columns of the first matrix, and likewise for the second matrix, that will be called the number of rows in the second matrix multiplied by the number of columns in the second matrix. Okay, now the rule 1, the first rule that we need to know is that if we have got a matrix as above, so two matrices, R1 times C1 and R2 times C2, okay, they can only be multiplied if C1 is equal to R2. Okay, so C1, the number of columns, must be equal to the number of rows of the second one. Okay, so that is your first rule, that they can only be multiplied if C1 equals R2. Alright, now that's the first rule. Okay, the second rule is that when you do multiply R1 by C1, so that matrix 1, and we multiply that by R2 by C2, okay, what we need to know is that our resultant matrix is going to be R1 times by C2, okay? And that information has been the trick that has been tangling me up through all of this. Okay, so if we've got those, what we're going to do is utilize our example, our shoes. Alright, so we wanted to find out the loss. We wanted to find out what Barry's loss was, and we had the costs of the shoes: 60, 75, 45 and 95. And we've also got our matrix with the amounts in them. Now, if we go 4, 3, 5, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 3, 4, 6, 4, 3, 4, 6, and the last column is 4, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let us analyse. What have we got here? We have got one row. Okay, so the order of this matrix is 1 times by 4. Okay, the order of this matrix here is how many rows? 4 rows times by 5 columns. Okay, so let us look at our rule 1. Rule 1 says that if they are to be multiplied, that C1, so the number of columns of the first one, must equal the number of rows of the second one. Okay, that is correct. Okay, so we know that they can be multiplied. Rule 2 says that when we multiply these two matrices, that our resultant matrix will be of the order row 1, row number of 1, which is 1, and the column number of the second matrix. Okay, so we will end up with a 1 by 5 matrix. Okay, now The issue with this is that I have been trying to achieve a 1 by 4 matrix or a 4 by 1 matrix because I wanted to see the shoe brand and its price in a single matrix. Now that is not possible with this particular setup. Okay, even if we flip the matrices around, if we change the columns and rows, it does not work. So that is a little bit frustrating, but we will move on. That's how, when you are doing your project, your matrix project, it is really important that you check what you can and cannot achieve using these rules. Okay, we are going to move on now, and we are actually going to demonstrate the multiplication. So we'll just move up here. Okay. The actual multiplication goes like this. We have 60 multiplied by 4 plus 75 multiplied by 3, 45 multiplied by 5, 95 multiplied by 2. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take 60 multiplied by 4, 75 multiplied by 3, 45 multiplied by 5, 95 multiplied by 2. Okay, and the answer to that is 880. Okay, we are then going to go 60 multiplied by 3, 75 multiplied by 2, 45 multiplied by 4, 95 multiplied by 1. And that will give us 605. Then we'll go 60 multiplied by 4, 75 multiplied by 3, 45 multiplied by 4, 95 multiplied by 6. Those are all added together, and that will give us 1215. The next column is the same, and so when they are all added together, the same thing, 1215. And then the final one, again, 60 multiplied by 4, 75 multiplied by 3, 45 multiplied by 4, and 95 multiplied by 5. That comes to 1120. Okay, and that is our final matrix. Okay, so that is, if we call this matrix 1 there, and we call that one matrix 2, okay, this here is 1 times by 2. Okay, and what it shows us is that the cost of size 8 shoes lost by Barry is $880. The cost of size 9 shoes lost in the fire was $605. The cost of size 10 shoes was $12.15, 11 same, and size 12 shoes was $11.20. Alright, so that is how the matrix multiplication actually works. We take this one here and we multiply it by that one there. Okay, which is obviously why we need to have the same number of columns in the first one as there are rows in the second one.